Hello and welcome to I'm Just Here to Listen podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Juming Delmas Studios and Made Equal Clothing. Hello everyone and welcome to the I'm Just Here to Listen solo pod. I'm your host Juming Delmas and today we're going to be covering a very important topic in the hip hop industry, the rival between two icons, Tupac and Biggie Smalls. We're going to unfold some of the conspiracies, myths discussed about their legacy in this podcast, and we're going to also talk about the significance of these two artists in hip hop. So sit tight, relax, and we'll see you guys on the show.
I'm just here to listen. Podcast bringing the best in music, sports, theater, and live on television. Listen. So intentional with the message, imagery, representation. Don't need a second guessing. Listen. No talking, level surface, reverse it. It's encrypted on purpose. Listen. Juming and the team so grateful. Each week we deliver to the faithful. I'm just here to listen.
Hey everybody and welcome back to the show. I'm your host Juming Delmas and thank you guys for tuning in. So today we're going to be diving into the Tupac and Biggie scenario. As you guys know, this is a very big topic. There's hundreds of thousands of videos on Tupac and Biggie and these conspiracies. So I'm hoping that in this particular podcast we can give some different insights, some different takes and different looks on the Biggie and Tupac situation. One of the biggest conspiracies that were going around, or thoughts and people are saying, even Candace Owens made a comment about Tupac's sexuality.
Tupac was an actor, and I'm pretty sure he was not a heterosexual actor either.
And that sexuality came from an interview that he did when he was 17 years old in high school, and some of the feminine gestures he was giving. So let's play the video. Let's take a look at this video.
I'm most like my mom because I'm arrogant. Totally arrogant. I agree. I have to say it. Like at work, I can't hold a job. I just quit my job today, actually, because I wanted to come and do this. And they wouldn't let me. And I felt like it was important, and it was more important than serving pizza. And we had enough people, so I felt like since I'm an actor, they should understand. They should have let me do it, but they didn't. And then I had a cold. So they were making me work in a freezer. And I'm really not one to be disrespected.
I'm really not the one to be disrespected. I'm just not the one to be disrespected. It's just what it is. Listen, all right. Okay. Is Tupac gay? Was he gay? Listen, if he was my homeboy and we were sitting next to each other and he was speaking to me like that, I would definitely think, flamboyant, something going on in there. To be, there's nothing wrong with being gay if that's the case. But do I think he was gay? I would say that I think Tupac probably could have experimented. That's what I'm gonna say. I could think he can experiment. But I think what's really happening here is oftentimes people get, we have this ideal of Tupac, this hardcore, rough thug, and then you see this video that's being played about a lot of feminine gestures. I mean, he even kind of batted his eyes like a woman in one of these clips.
I mean,
so looking at that clip, like there's guys who have just natural feminine gestures. You got to remember, like one thing about Tupac, he's only been a gangster for like 4 years. The majority of his life, he was not a gangster. You can kind of see that this is who he was. And I don't know if he was just putting on his representative voice or if that was just naturally who he is. I want to go with that's probably naturally who he is, because there was a research that showed that his theater teacher mentioned about how he was like one of the kindest, sweetest guys of the play. Like he did well. He got along well with others. He wasn't like into like violent activity or anything like that. He was well spoken. So it makes me believe that that is who Tupac actually is. And if that's Tupac, then in today's age, that could come off as, kind of homo. Most girls wouldn't like a man that's kind of that feminine, especially with the hand on his chest and like he's like how he articulates and like even just how he sounds. Like he doesn't have that Like that masculinity voice is that thing that's happening. And I guess that's just something we'll never know, but I can make my speculations. If I had to throw my gaydar on for Tupac, I would probably say I think he would experiment. I think he would have experimented. I mean, he's an actor, and like most male actors, like there's a lot of homosexuality in the entertainment business. So just that in general, and male acting and things like that. So that's common. I think what happened in Tupac's case, I don't think he's gay. I don't think he is gay. I just think that he's flamboyant, but I also think that we see a different side of Tupac. Oftentimes we forget that Tupac is an actor, period. He was an actor first. He was an actor before he was a rapper. He was in theater and plays. That's how he met Jada and all this other stuff. So what we see from Tupac is not gay. Tupac is not a thug. Tupac is a method actor. That's what he is. He's a method actor. He delved into a character that he did not know how to get out of because he was his theater teacher mentioned in an interview as well, like Tupac, he can get so engulfed into the character that he becomes. He sometimes really just become that character. He can really change that character and manipulate the character in a way that he wanted to manipulate the character. I think that oftentimes, like as rappers, even or actors, like people get caught up in method acting. They're acting into something that they're really not. Another example of that was Heath Ledger from The Dark Knight. He played the Joker. I mean, it was oftentimes they spoke about Heath Ledger not being able to come out of character. He became the Joker, but that's why he dominated it and killed it so well.
Come here. Hey. Look at me. So I had a wife. She was beautiful. Like you. Who tells me I worry too much? Who tells me I ought to smile more?
So another method actor was Lloyd Avery II. You guys are probably asking, who is Lloyd Avery? Lloyd Avery was the guy who killed Ricky in Boys in the Hood.
Ricky!
He was the guy who actually hung outside of the car and shot Ricky in the back twice, right? So they say Lloyd Avery was a very stand-up, well-spoken, nice guy. But when he played the role as the gangster in Boys in the Hood, it kind of transitioned him. He started becoming that of which he was portraying. I think that this is the case for Tupac. I think Tupac became a method actor. I don't think that Tupac is a gangster by no means. I think that Tupac is a very good actor, and he got engulfed into acting. And people are like, well, how can you become a method actor as a rapper? Rappers are constantly method acting. They constantly talk about things they actually don't do. But in their head, they actually believe that they are what they are, which is not true. Tupac played, and even if people want to further argue that, Tupac played a gangster in Juice. I mean, I can say that Tupac played a gangster in Poetic Justice. Like, he played these roles that he did not know how to get out of. Like, so the feminine, flamboyant Tupac that we saw when he was 17, you gotta remember, this is who he was the majority of his life. He was this person before he was a gangster. Like, you know, he really didn't start becoming like really gangster until like 1993. And then he died in 1995, 96. So really you're talking about 3 to 4 years of being a gangster versus 20 something years of being the person you've been in this interview. So like, you know, that's why people often talk about like, Tupac, he contradicts, you know, what he says, or he's two people or two parts. I just think Tupac's a method actor. I think that he does not know how to get out of that. And I think oftentimes we overlook situations where actors don't know how to stop being an actor. People do it in real life. I think we all have a level of method acting we don't know how to get out of. Like, even when you're working with people and like all they do is throw on their representative voice. They don't know how to come out of that representative voice when they talk to you on the phone. So I think in that situation, that's what he became. And as we know, being this whole thug life, rapper, killer kind of vibe, that's not a long life to live. I mean, that's those individuals who live those type of lifestyles usually don't last long. There are a few that do, but most don't. And especially when you're as vocal as Tupac, man, shit. What? He was loud. He was animated, right? He was very animated, loud, and he had to be seen. What do you know? What job do you know requires you to be loud, animated, and seen? Theater. That's what Tupac came from. Tupac came from theater, right? That's his whole, that's where he came from. So I think that he lost his life because he got too lost into the thug life character and didn't know how to bring it back. So I think, because he was on a whole different movement. I mean, he even talked in that interview about women and how he would never call a woman a bitch. Check this out.
Night over girls, and I've seen guys speak to women with this much respect, and I deplore that. My mother is just totally, I grew up, my mother raised me. They call girls the B word, and they smack and beat, and they're getting girls, and I'm going, peace, and I think you're beautiful, and they're going to me, well, I like him because he's masculine.
So you need to start checking these. We got to start saying these man. If you with a cool female, that's all good, but if you with a you need to break her ass and shake her ass.
So yeah, that's your boy Tupac. Those are two different niggas sitting there. There's no way you would have been able to convince me that these were the same guys had we not known Tupac. This was just, the first guy was just Tupac, who Tupac was before we knew Tupac. The second guy was a Tupac we know today. So, we all get caught up in that. And I think it's just all an act. Just don't know how to stop acting. This whole West Coast versus East Coast shit. Tupac is from the East Coast. Why are you acting, right, like you from the motherfucking West Coast when your ass from the East Coast? You talking about some West Side. He wasn't gang affiliated. West Side is not a gang. That's a direction of the country, of different areas of the part of the earth. West Side, to which he is not from. So even in that, he's acting. We know that like he created this environment for West Side versus East Side and was turning literally people against each other from the West to the East. Like it became this feud war, and that was because of the beef he had with Biggie Smalls. People, that Biggie Smalls and Tupac situation was, I don't know. I mean, I felt like it was a little bit over the top. Like I felt like it was all for the clout, for the money. This is not new news to most people. Biggie and Tupac was like really close friends before they became enemies. As a matter of fact, they became so close in such a short period of time. But here's my philosophy on that. I don't think Tupac ever really liked Biggie. I don't think he really truly just liked him, even from the beginning. And here's my theory on that. One, when they met in an LA party. They were smoking weed, eating steak, and drinking Kool-Aid. I mean, to be real, you would get along with anybody in a situation like that. I mean, who you not gonna get along with you smoking weed with, eating a steak and drinking Kool-Aid? So obviously that's where the bond kind of established itself. But here's my philosophy on why. Here's my theory on why I believe Tupac never really liked Biggie. I think Tupac saw potential in Biggie, but I don't think he really wanted to like necessarily be involved with Biggie. And it's because like Tupac denied taking on Biggie as an artist. He claimed because, he felt like Biggie would be a bigger star if he just went with Puff Daddy or P. Diddy or whatever the case is. And that he should just go with P. Diddy because he'll make him a star a lot quicker than Tupac would. I don't know, man. I just think that's cap. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt like you just kind of took away your problem and just pushed it on somebody else. Because, like, if I'm an artist and I have, like, and I'm working with the record labels and, as artists, our number one thing is to what? Make money, obviously, boom. Why would I not bring on this rapper who I believe could be a star and bring them on to make me more money and also make him money? Why would I not do that? I mean, just logically, that would make the most sense. Why? If I don't really with you, I'm going to send you off to somebody else. Like, people do that in business all the time. If you got a business, you got a client you don't want to with, you send them to your rivals. You got a difficult client, you don't want to deal with that client, you're going to send them all to, like, other people who could deal with them, people you don't actually like. I think that's what happened with Tupac. That's my theory, because that would never make sense to me. Is if you believed in this guy, why would you not bring him onto your record label? And why would, if you knew he would be a star, why would you give him off to Diddy? I think he gave him off to Diddy, and then Biggie became the star that he became overnight. And I low-key think Tupac kind of envied that. I think he felt like Biggie blew too fast, and he felt like Biggie came up too quick, and like he was like almost catching his status, because Tupac was already making hit songs before Biggie even came in the picture. Biggie was a fan of Tupac. So it was kind of like that. I think he was low-key slightly jealous. And I'm going to play a video so you guys can kind of see something that Tupac said that really made me kind of really think more on this theory. Check it out.
I love my East Coast fans. I'm from there. I'm eating New York pizza. I drive New York Jeeps, want to hear New York. But I'm saying, let's keep it real for a second. If you have the love of music that you are, study. Go back and study. Study how Party and Bullshit was me before I met Biggie. You don't hear my style in this rap. Study how after I met Biggie, Ready to Die come out, his whole style changed. Study. Study why I would be mad. Study why I would be mad when half of the major New York rappers, or they managers, or they agents, or they somebody was there when I got shot, and nobody couldn't give me no information. Just study that. Study how when Wu-Tang got their chain snatched at 6'6" Dupes, I not only found who did it, but gave them the message that if they want to see the niggas that did it, they can see them. Man to man. Just you and them. No guns, no nothing. If you feel like that. That's all I ask for. That's all I ask for. If you're going to act like you a gangster or a G or the king of New York, I'm going to expect that. And when you don't come through, then I'm going to want to crush your empire. And that's what it's time for.
So, man to man, that's a level of that interview that he did, the interview that Tupac just did was, to me, a level of superiority, right? He has this sense of entitlement that I've been in the game longer. I know this, like, respect me for my title. Respect me for what this is. If you claim to be this person you said you are, I want you to show me that. Like, he's still speaking on method acting. He basically saying that if you don't stand by what you're saying, you're an actor. And this is like where this whole shit kind of like gets a little tricky, because I don't believe this man really. Like, even my friends, right? If somebody's a true friend to me, even when we fall out, I ain't gonna blast them. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna go out and say crazy shit about it. I'm gonna leave this shit alone. Why am I gonna go out there? You my friend. I've known homies like that now. Like, people would not, like, they fall out, but they refuse to badmouth each other. There's this level of respect, because the respect comes first, right? Respect comes first. And if someone's truly your friend, they ain't gonna never talk about you, even if you guys fall out, because that happens in life. But I felt like just looking at this interview, there's like a level of superiority. Like, and I'm a Tupac fan. Like there was this when they were having this East Coast West Coast banter, I felt like I was more with Pac. I feel like I relate more to Pac and his aggression and his style of flow. I think that Biggie's flow is too slow for me. It bores the hell out of me. It will put me to sleep. I cannot get behind Biggie and his rap. I don't know. There's something about the way he rap. I just don't like it. I like Pac's flow a lot better. And lyrically, I just think Pac's better. But that's neither here nor there. Morally, I think Biggie is there. I don't think that Biggie wanted to beef with Pac. Biggie was always the one trying to like calm the situation down. I think the Who Shot You song that Biggie made was not a shot to Pac. I think it was just a song that was already made and it just happened to flow. Because Biggie not one time in the song mentioned Pac. Like, I don't think he was. I think it was all just coincidental. I do not think that Biggie set Pac up. I think that it was just a bunch of who saw Pac with this jewelry, with these things, with this jewelry looking like $1 million. And just decide I'm gonna rob him. I think that Biggie was genuinely Pac's friend, and I think that Tupac had some slight envy toward Biggie, especially because Biggie rose so rapidly, and that I feel like for Pac there was a slight level of regret of not bringing Biggie on, because had he brought Biggie on, that would have been big for Pac. So, it brings me back to, I don't know if I should say this, but like white man in slavery, right? Like when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, white people didn't like that shit. Like they hated that because now black people can go out and, farm and do their own shit. And now you kind of regret not taking advantage of what you had. And then when these black people, they leave and go off and do their own thing, you slightly mad. You slightly envious because now that's an opportunity that you've missed. I mean, anybody would feel that way. Like, damn, I should have signed this. That could have been millions for us. That could have been hits for us. But, I think that there's the slight envy that happened. And I don't think Pac could ever admit that. That's why he was so ready to beef with him. He was so ready to beef with him. It's not like Biggie ever came out and said, yeah, nigga, we set you up. We set you up. Biggie ain't never come out and said that. As a matter of fact, Biggie been trying to hey, look, we ain't getting behind that. Because even after Pac died, one of Bad Boy Records, Bad Boy team, they called up Suge and said, hey man, we just wanted to let you know we had nothing to do with Pac's death. Nothing. Like, that's a different level of respect, right? Like, Pac is very aggressive. And if nothing else tells you that Tupac really didn't f- with Biggie even when they were friends, this right here should. The Hit 'Em Up song. The opening of that song was, that's why I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker. Those were his exact words, right? So when you listen to that song, you hear him say this opening. One can speculate that he had sex with Biggie's wife. Whether it's true or not, what we do know is he said it. And oftentimes if you say something, you probably did it. That's neither here nor there. But if you're my friend, why are you f***ing my wife anyways? We were friends. Why are you having sex with my wife while we're friends? That means you really, truly didn't mess with me like that from the get-go, because this act had to have happened before our beef. So Tupac really wasn't really messing with Biggie like that from the get-go, is the way I look at it. I think that there was some slight envy that was happening between the two, and that's what caused the riff and the uproar, and that's why it was so easy for them to beef, because one really did not like the other. And I think Tupac really didn't like Biggie as much as he thought he did. And I think that nobody would come out and say that, because, beefing or not, you allegedly came out your mouth and say you fucked my wife while we were friends. So in other words, you were never really my friend.
I ain't got no mother.
Your fat mother. West Side, bad boy killers. You know who the realest is, niggas. We bring it to you. First off, your in the clique you claim. West Side, when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a player, but I your wife. We bust on bad boys for life. Plus,
fast forwarding, just both of them dying. I'm gonna start with this here. I don't think Biggie had nothing to do with Pac's death, and I don't think Pac's team has nothing to do with Biggie's death. I think that Pac died because of the altercation that he had at the MGM studio during the Mike Tyson boxing match. I think Pac died in the hands of that Crip crew. I believe that Biggie was set up, but we'll dive into that. Let's start with Pac. I genuinely think Biggie was hurt when Pac died. Like, as much as they had their issues, I believe that Biggie was really upset that Pac died. I think Biggie, when I think of Biggie, I don't like, his music is aggressive. He has, hard hitting songs, but I don't think, like, he knows that I think Biggie knew he was a rapper still. He knows he was a rapper. And I don't think he lost track of that. I think that Pac got lost in the character. And I think that with Biggie, like, he didn't want to beef with him. I don't think Biggie set him up. When he died, when Tupac died, I think Biggie was hurt. That's why they called Suge and said, hey, man, just want to let you know we had nothing to do with this. We don't want anything. And even Biggie had to be on the lookout because, like, he knew that people would assume that he was a part of it. Here's the deal. And it's so funny because, like, people just try to create stories just to try to create an aha moment instead of creating, like, a really logical situation out of this. For an example, Biggie Smalls and his team, they're very smart people. They're not dumb. And oftentimes, while I know that we all like to think that people are dumb and they're just making dumbass decisions, that ain't the case. One, why the would Biggie Smalls set up something to kill Tupac? Biggie Smalls and his team set up something to kill Tupac when they know that the entire world know that they're beefing. I mean, that's a dead giveaway. If Tupac dies, Biggie is the number one suspect. Why would he even put himself in a situation that would do same thing with Pac or his team? Like, why would we put ourselves in a situation where we know we will be the prime suspect of this man's death? Even if we hire somebody to do it, we will still be the prime suspect of somebody's death. Hence, here's a clear as example. King Von died, right? And prime suspect for that was we didn't need one. You saw who shot and killed him. But had King Von not had all these witnesses after his death that Lil Kim shot King Von, in reality, who would have been the number one suspect behind King Von's death if all these witnesses weren't there? Who? NBA Youngboy and his crew. Come on. They've been beefing. So obviously NBA Youngboy and his crew will be the prime suspect. NBA Youngboy specifically. Right? So Quando Rondo was in the car, with his cousin, and his cousin gets shot and killed. Quando Rondo. Who would be the prime suspect of killing Quando Rondo's cousin in an attempt to kill Quando Rondo? Lil Durk. That's why he was the prime suspect behind the killing of Quando Rondo's cousin and an attempt to kill Quando Rondo because of what happened to King Von. It's a no-brainer. It just doesn't take. You ain't got to go to school for this shit. This is shit. This is basic information. I'm gonna think that, and I'm not even a fucking cop. So why would Pac or Biggie kill one another, knowing that they would be the primary suspect? So that's the first thing. That's why I do not think neither one had anything to do with that. For Biggie, I'm going to say this very loosely. In Biggie's case, I believe this. Most people, Ice Cube said something in an interview. Check this interview out.
You know, having a beef in public is very dangerous. It's very dangerous.
Why is that?
Because a third party can come in and take one of y'all out, and it's going to be blamed on the guy you beefing with and not.
Clear as day, right? It makes sense that Tupac's death was clear retaliation. Biggie's death could have been retaliation from Tupac's crew or a fan of Tupac who believed that Biggie had something to do with Tupac's killing. Or it could have been an orchestrated hit to Biggie Smalls. Now I have one motherfucking question. Who would benefit the most behind Biggie's death? Yeah. If you're thinking what I'm thinking, it's P. Diddy, right? I mean, if you think about it, like Biggie died 6 months after Pac. Pac blew after his death, like most rappers do. He blew tremendously after his death. And you don't think these record labels are looking at how big this guy blew after he died? Like, people become worth more dead than they are alive. Not saying that this is what occurred, but I could speculate all the hell I want that I'm a business owner and I see the hundreds of millions of dollars that this record label has made after Tupac's death. But in return, Tupac becomes this icon in the hip hop industry. You know, I mean, let's be real. You know, who would benefit the most? We're not saying that Diddy's out here calling hits on people. I'm just saying that he should have been a prime suspect because that whole record label. Because at this point, there's no one else who would benefit more than those guys behind Biggie's death than those record labels, right? So another conspiracy thing that people talk about is, you know, is Tupac really alive? I've been hearing the bullshit about him being in Puerto Rico or something, Costa Rica or something like that. Here, let me show you guys exactly why. For those of you who don't know, why there's always been this conspiracy thing that's been going on for decades behind why they think Tupac is still alive. Check this out.
If you think about it, right?
Right.
Why you think nobody been arrested if they said they the one killed Tupac?
Because they're snitching to the police, so they ain't
not
gonna get arrested.
Not just to snitch and be smart, son. Because Tupac not
ain't
dead.
as smart as you should be.
Tupac not dead. If he was dead, they'd be arresting those dudes for murder. You know he's somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar on the island somewhere.
Right now.
You know what I mean?
Cuban cigars are really good, but they ain't got shit to do with what we talking about. That motherfucking comment right there is the reason why niggas out here just thinking Tupac's still alive. All right, okay. And I think it's just this hope that they want him to be alive. Let me help everybody here on the show. Tupac is not in Cuba. He's not out here smoking cigars. Tupac is dead. He is gone. Even when I was a kid, I heard that Tupac was alive, even after he died, right? And I wholeheartedly believe that he was alive. He became like this icon even when I was a kid, because I think he died when I was like 7. And people were saying, he's still alive, even still today, decades, almost 30 years later, niggas still thinking this man is alive, and he's not. He's not alive. There's an image on all over the internet right now with this guy who looks like Tupac. I mean, there's a lot of lookalikes. Just because you look like the nigga don't mean you are the nigga. And so people are just wanting this hope. And here's what sold it for me when I knew Tupac was dead. His mom did an interview one day on these conspiracies about Tupac being alive. And she made a comment. She was like, one thing I know is my son is dead. And how I know that is because he wouldn't have been able to be quiet this long. True. Fact, 100%. Tupac was very outspoken. He was very extroverted. He knew how to command the room with his presence. Him being quiet, silent for 30 years, not necessarily possible. You don't become this extroverted person. You're not this extroverted person 1 minute and then just become completely ghost the next. That just doesn't happen, especially with somebody with Tupac's spirit. Like, he was like a very powerful spirit. He was like an activist, right? So like, no, that dead. He's definitely dead. And when she said that, like, sometimes we just lose logic. We just forget to just add logic to our thought process. If this man was really alive, would Tupac Shakur, the activist, big on activism, be quiet this long? I promise you this here. If Tupac was still alive, he couldn't have been quiet about the George Floyd situation. He would have came out clear as day. He would have had to break the silence. Because that's what he was all about. He was all about the way cops was treating black people. He couldn't be quiet as long. So the conspiracies behind, is Tupac alive? Is that Tupac in this picture with this guy who looks like him? The question is no. Okay? Stop saying stupid shit like that. That's why people already think the internet is full of shit anyway. So let's try not to, live in that little la-la land. So, and this is why I think, like, Biggie's death was more of a setup. Now, again, we're not calling names, but we're just saying that this makes the most sense on his death. This wasn't a retaliation death. This was a planned hit, and here's why. Check the video out.
I said, yo, Puff, I got some intel, bro. I got some intel that people gonna come and try to kill us. He said, Gene, I don't wanna hear that shit. F what you mean you don't wanna hear that shit? He said, yo, Gene, you ain't gotta go if you don't wanna go. You know what I'm saying? We right there, Big is right here. Me and Paul is at his car. Yo, y'all follow us. I got my gun out. Puff said, yo, Gene, get in this car. We don't need that. How the F you gonna tell me how to do my job? Get in here or you ain't gonna work another day for Bad Boy. So then I gets in the car. I said, yo, Kenny, run the next 3 lights, Kenny. He said, why? I said, Kenny, let me drive then. If you ain't gonna run the next 3 lights, let me drive, Kenny. It was a flashing red light. We didn't stop like that. We went across the light. Tone, who's behind me, says, yo, Big them ain't coming across the light. Yo, somebody pointing a gun at Big. We hear something say, pap, 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 pap. Kenny guns the car going forward. What the f are you doing, Kenny? He say, they say somebody shoot, yeah, motherfucker, they shooting at Big.
It's really tough when you see videos like that, right? And you there's there's nothing you can do, right? You see these guys pointing at your client. Here's an even bigger thing. Why was Diddy not in the car with Suge? Why was Diddy not in the car with Biggie? This is why I also don't believe that Suge Knight had shit to do with Tupac's death, because that was also a thing. Suge Knight was sitting in the car with Tupac the day he got shot. Let's logically, because we talk about logics and shit, logically think about what that would look like. If I plan a hit for one of my clients to get killed so that I can make money, I'm not going to put myself in the motherfucking car that's going to get shot up and expect that these that's shooting have the ability to direct their bullets on where they go. I would not sit in that car, right? Because here's the thing about that situation, right? People are making accusations that Suge has something to do with Tupac's killing. There was about 14 shots that went into that BMW. 14 shots. Tupac got hit 4 to 5 times. You telling me out of 14 shots, I know I'm setting up my client and I know that there's going to at least be between 10 to 15 shots coming in this car. I'm going to be sitting in the car the entire time that the bullets are coming, hoping that these guys have the capability of not hitting me and only having the bullet graze across my head. I mean, let's just be real. I mean, some shit just don't even need a story or an explanation. It's just, I mean, just think about it. Anyhow, in this situation for Biggie, that wasn't the case. Now I could be like, okay, this does raise suspicion. How is it that these guys knew where Biggie would be, the exact time he would be there, when they would hit, and how they would escape? To this day, Biggie's small case is still unsolved. They have 0 leads, meaning the people who killed Biggie knew he was going to be there that day, that time, and knew how to escape. Planned hit. That's a planned hit. Who the hell would benefit? Better yet, who did benefit from that killing? So, it's these conspiracies go yonder. We're not saying that, they do it, but like what I'm saying is like the speculations would make the most sense. What would logically make sense? Why can't we find a killer of this man's case? His mom just passed away. She died, right? Biggie's mother died without justice for her son. And she was hanging in there as long as she could. That's a tough life to live. To live almost 30 years after your son's death and not know who took the life of your son with no leads. What? She's probably his biggest advocate. She was probably on those detectives' asses every month. They was tired of her. But still today, we have no leads. And with her gone, it's definitely going to get colder because she was his biggest advocate. So, it's just one of them situations that, is unfortunate. I don't think that Big or Pac had anything to do with neither one of their deaths. I think it was, again, just a coincidence that they just happened to be beefing. They both happened to die 6 months apart from each other, and people want somebody to blame because they don't know who to blame. We're going to wrap up the show with, what are your thoughts? What do you guys think behind this whole big Tupac situation? Is Tupac gay? Is he flamboyant? Was he bi? Or is he just really method acting? Or more importantly, was Tupac really Biggie's friend? Were they truly friends just based off of what we know and what we've seen? And are these conspiracy theories true about their deaths? Will we ever find the killer of Biggie Smalls? They've got some arrests for Tupac, but there's really no real solid leads on Tupac. They're just finding people who were, kind of caught up in that situation between the fight between Tupac and the Crip gang members at the Mike Tyson fight. What are your thoughts? Give us your thoughts, your concerns. Thank you guys again for tuning in to the I'm Just Here to Listen solo pod. I'm your host, Juming Delmas. You can check us out on all streaming platforms, podcast related. And you can also watch this podcast on YouTube. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Talk soon.
Thank you for being here and listening. Subscribe to the vibes, send your support or oppositions in. I'm just here to listen in. Podcast here for the repositioning, reclaiming black entertainment, exhibition and transitioning. The more informative news, mentioning celebs, who's sleeping with who's is not what we soliciting. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.